Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's ODTUG's educational series. Today's presentation will be presented by Anuj Pandey and will be concentrated on using zero downtime migration to migrate on-premises Exadata database to Exadata cloud at customers. Excuse me. Thank you, Anuj, for being here, and you may begin your presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Brittany, for giving a brief introduction. I'll share the screen and I'll start the presenting. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we are here to have a brief discussion about Oracle ZDM. It's an Oracle product, and it is to migrate the database from in-premises OCI Gen 1 and OCI to various OCI database offerings with the minimum downtime. And I'll take this opportunity to thank you and appreciate everyone in the webinar session for stealing your time, precious time, and joining this session. And myself, Anuj Pandey, and I'm database specialist working at Datavail, having 15 plus experience, served multiple roles in various industries. I'll go to the next slide, the weather forecast. And we have opportunity to win smart weather station today. So take a mobile, take a snap, scan it, and see if you can win the smart weather forecast station. I'll hang on for 30 seconds before I move ahead. We are scanning it. And I'll move ahead. So here is the Datavail offerings. We are mostly in Oracle databases, providing the Oracle database services, application management, and analytics visualization and integration. In database, we support almost all flavor of databases and AWS, Azure, and OCI. In application, we have EBS, Hyperion, Microsoft Dynamics, SharePoint, and custom developments. In analytics, we have Microsoft products, Power BI, OCI integration, and Oracle Data, ODI, and ETL development and operational run that we support here. Next one is it's about agenda, ZDM agenda. We know ZDM, it's a zero downtime migration tool that's offered by Oracle. And here we are going to see about ZDM and their architect, supported platforms requirements, the backup requirements, and the connectivity for source and target databases, ZDM installation and pre-migration configuration, connectivity between JDM services and source and target databases. And we need to prepare a response file to migrate. And we'll see a little bit about database migration with the ZDM. Go to the next screen. It's introduction to a zero downtime migration process. Oracle has simplified the automation, migration automation, providing a zero to negligible downtime for a production system, depending on the migration scenario we opt. Oracle ZDM supports a wide range of Oracle database version that we'll see what are the versions that Oracle supports using the ZDM. ZDM allow you to directly and seamlessly migrate your on-premises Oracle databases to and between any Oracle-owned infrastructure. The source DB to be migrated can be on-premises, deployed on Oracle Public Cloud Gen 2 or OCI. The target database deployments can be in Database Cloud Services, OCI VM, Exadata Cloud Services, Exadata Cloud In-Premise Services, and Autonomous Databases. JDM follows the maximum availability architecture. This leverages the Oracle Database integration, edge technologies such as Oracle Data Guard and Oracle Golden Gate. Follow MA best practices that ensure no significant downtime of production environments. JDM runs on separate nodes and connect to both the source and target databases to perform the migration. It supports both physical and logical migration workflow. Next one is architecture, how it follows the process. First, we need to download and configure, install and configure the JDM, then starts database migration. When we start the database migration, it connects to source database to the object store where we can take a backup. Then it transfers the backup files, instantiate the standby database, and JDM synchronize primary and secondary. It is in sync mode until we are doing the final cutover. So there is an option that you sync the database and you decide when you want to cut over. So that's the beauty of this JDM. And then switch over the roles between the source and target database. And JDM will finalize the migration process and it would complete it. So that's how it works. And here are the supported platforms and configuration that we need to consider before using the JDM. Oracle support the database version starting from 11.204 and above, not before. Source and target database should be in same version. So if it is 11.204, the target supposed to be 11.204. And JDM supports hosted on Linux operating system only. So all the databases that is in Linux, that only we can migrate from any version to any version. And Enterprise Edition and Standard Edition Oracle databases support as source database. So it can support both Enterprise and Standard Edition of the database to migrate. For Enterprise, it will use the Oracle Data Guard to migrate the database. For Standard Edition database migration, it will do offline manner. So yeah, it's efficient with the Enterprise Edition. It will have minimum downtime. And Oracle JDM allow you for source database to be non-CDB or container database with one or more pluggable databases. So we can migrate from non-CDB or CDB to CDB. Starting from 21C, it will allow non-CDB to CDB migration with both physical and logical migration workflow. And then here are the supported platforms for the target and in-premises. It supports bare metal, OCI bare metal, OCI VM, Exadata Cloud, in-premises Exadata, and autonomous databases. Autonomous databases, it has to use the logical workflow only because it's fully, we have to set up a new databases and it has to do logical because we don't have physical where we can use the data guard to copy the data files, control files, and all the database files and configure the data guard and do the synchronization. And JDM supports object storage, Oracle zero data loss recovery appliance, and NFS storage for a backup. This takes a backup for migration purpose. So that's the one thing that we need to make sure that we are using one of these when we migrate the databases using JDM. These are the, as we know, our JDM required a separate machine. It doesn't, we do not need to host, or we can't host source database or target databases. So it requires kind of a thin server where the Linux host should be running Oracle 7 and above. The minimum free space is 100 gigs. And we need to install the JDM using given instructions. We need to create some groups and install pre-packages before installing the JDM. Also, the other requirement that we have is just like we do in Oracle RAC system, we need to make an entry of all hosts that we have for source and target so that it recognize and do the job. As we know in previous slide, the source database should be 11.204 and above, and it should be in same release version. And source database must be in archive log mode. That's another prerequisite that we need to meet. If the source database is on 12c release, 12c release 2 and later, TD is not enabled. You need to set up the TD wallet. So for 12c databases, we need to configure a TD transparent data encryption to migrate to OCI. And here are another prerequisites that we do most of the time in the data guard. The DB name must be the same on both the side, but DB unique name need to be different. So as we know, it's using in physical model, it's using a data guard. So most of the characteristic, most of the things that we do for data guard, we need to make sure that those prerequisites we are meeting here. Sys password, yeah, this should be same thing we do in data guards. We have to make sure that the source and target databases, we are creating the same password for migration purpose. And here are the target database requirements. Target database must be created prior to migration. You might be thinking that it uses a data guard, and if we create the database, how it's going to act. And the way it's going to do that, it's using that database and restoring the full database over there. That's all automated process and configures the data guard. Everything is automated. So it would replace the existing databases that is created over there. If the target database is set at higher patch level than the source database, the customer must run the data patch, of course. Let's say you have applied until October patches. Now we have January and April, and the target database, when you create, let's say it has latest patches, that is January, April. Once you migrate, we need to do the data patch to make it in sync. Also on target databases, when we create the databases in OCI, bare metal, not VMware, bare metal autonomous databases or Exadata in premises or cloud services, the backups are automatically configured to take a backup at recovery destination. So we need to make sure that we do disable those backups. And target databases, 90% time, 99 when we use the, not 99, 100% time when you use the bare metal and autonomous and Exadata, the TD is already configured and it has everything that it required. But when you do the VMware, we do this part manually. So if we are using a target databases on VMware, then we need to create the wallet and configure that TD there before we migrate it. For Oracle RAC databases, we need to configure SSH connectivity between the Oracle RAC nodes for Oracle user. And that's a very basic requirement for RAC. So this time we are going to do from Oracle to one Oracle host to another Oracle host where we are going to migrate. So that's a target database requirement we have here for JDM. And the backup requirement, we already went through the backups it supports, the backup appliance it supports. So ensure both the source database server and the target database server can access the backup medium. So we need to make sure that either it is NFS or Oracle appliance block storage is accessible from both the servers. And capacity planning we have to do, make sure that we have enough capacity to take up backups of the source database and restore there. So that's pretty much, we have the backup requirements. And then we need to make sure that we can establish the SQLnet connection, and we need to make sure that 22 and 443 along with 1521 port is operational between the database and JDM. So JDM services node connectivity requirement is 22 is going to be used for SSH from service node to source and target host. So from JDM to source and JDM to target database host, the SSH port should be open. It should not be blocked by firewall port. And the connectivity between source and target databases on port 1521, that's the default port it is using. So we need to make sure that this 1521 port is not blocked by firewall, and test the connectivity for data guard synchronization. And then the last port that we need to make sure that 443 must be open. This port will be used for object storage. So when you download the object storage, it's a website, and it uses 443 port to download anything that we bring from HTTPS. Most of the time they use this port. So we need to make sure that these three ports are operational and working and not blocked by firewall before I start working on configuration of the JDM. Here are the installation process we have. I have shared the link here where we can download the latest JDM software, and the prerequisite we have here. We need to download and install the glib and a few more packages that we have. We need to download those and install before we are configuring or installing the JDM. And then here is how we can install the JDM. We need to give Oracle Home for JDM installation. It's JDM Oracle Home. No confusion between Oracle Database Home and JDM Oracle Home. It's JDM, it's running on different host. It's not on any of the source or target database host. So let's be clear on that. And Oracle base, just like JDM base, just like we do Oracle base, we need to define that. And zip location, we have to give an absolute path to install it. So just like we do for Oracle Database Silent Installation, if we have done it, we are going to use the same process to install the JDM here. And yeah, this is just introduction about it. Once the installation is completed, try to start and check the status. The status should be running and true. That's the time you confirm that JDM installation has completed successfully. Once JDM installation done, we are going to do a pre-migration configuration. We need to make sure that all the ports that we spoke earlier slides are in place. Net backup related appliances are in place. Plus, Oracle JDM only supports the migration to databases which use Oracle Grid infrastructure. So that's a big thing here. And if you don't have Grid infrastructure, we might not able to use the JDM. So that's a point to consider before we start thinking of JDM to use for our migration purpose. And here is how we need to create the object storage for database backup, and to generate the admin backup files. These backups are transferred from the source database to object storage by HTTP connectivity, and that's why we need 443 port. And once JDM completes this process, it instantiates the HTTP database leveraging this backup file. So first, it's going to take a backup, admin backup, and then transfer using HTTPS. That's how we access the block storage outside. And that's why we need HTTPS. Once the it transfer the backups, it would initiate the standby database configuration, and it will use all the backup files to restore the database in database files. Create a bucket. A bucket component should belong to same region. That's another requirement. Whatever the bucket we are creating, it should belong to the same target database region. So that's another requirement that we need to make sure that we are thinking and creating the buckets accordingly. Here are the response file. I mean, there are hundreds of response files that we need to fill, but I just went ahead with the very basic thing that we are going to do, like target DB unique name and source DB unique name. That's one thing that we are going to have a difference between source and target database, and the target migration method that we are going to use. So online physical, it will use the data guard. Offline physical, it will use the backup and restore methodology for the migration. So it will take a little time in offline physical because it cannot configure the data guard. And offline is the place we are going to use for autonomous and for standardization databases. Now, here we have a database migration process. A little bit, I haven't captured everything. We can't get everything in place here right now within sessions. So I just capture a little bit details when we initiate the post ZDM installation configuration. We want to run the migration process, but we are not sure that it's going to complete. So Oracle has given an option, and it says evaluate flag. So eval, that's a flag we need to run before we do the final cutover kind of things. This would give detailed information, but it will not do anything. It is just like if you know Oracle database, when you do the export import, we don't want to import everything into database. We just want to check that dump file is working fine, and we can get all the SQLs. Same way, it's going to run likewise. It's going to make sure that everything that it's going to do, it's completing successfully. The other thing we can say is, like, before installation, we run some pre-checks for that. Then same kind of things it's going to do. So that's evaluation is going to do. And once we run the evaluation command, it will create one job. And using that job ID, we can see the status, like we see for export import, data pump export import into on the command prompt or from the SQL query. Same way we can do here also. Once it completes, and we are going to validate that everything is good, no more action required. And once we are 100% sure, okay, now we can do the migration. We are going to remove the evaluation flag and just going to run the job. And it's going to take it some time to complete the migration. And here is the end of the session. Again, we got the opportunity to win this smart weather station. Please, if you have not done it, or the folks who joined this call a little late, please scan it and check your luck. I will hang around 15 seconds here before I move to the next slide. So take your mobile and scan it. Okay, I'm moving to the next slide here. It's Aurora that's presenting this webinar. And here are the question and answer. Please let me know if you have any question, and I will be happy to answer.
Okay, Anuj, I have a couple of questions here for you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get started with those. Why ZDM and not DataGuard?
Okay, so I mean, it's using a data guard, but it's kind of a fully automated migration process where it provision the target cloud infrastructure, replicate the data from source database to target databases, and switch over to the target database. So it's all automated. In DataGuard, we have to run each and every steps to configure the DataGuard, make sure that it is in sync, and then decide when you have to do a switchover. If we do the manual switchover, here that things is fully automated. That's one aspect of it. Second one is it minimizes the downtime. When something is automated, definitely we are going to um, um, reduce the latency between one task to another task. That's how it's going to minimize the downtime. And as it is fully automated and it's Oracle product, it understands everything that Oracle required while we are doing the migration. The third aspect of it is simplified migration process. So as you know, using one simple command, we are able to migrate whole database. And the migration is from both homogeneous and heterogeneous migration. So that's it is simplifying the migration process. And the fourth one is it is tightly integrated with the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. I mean, it is just meant for OCI. So, and Oracle has developed, keeping in mind that when customer is migrating the database from in-premises to Oracle, they should get a better experience and a smooth migration should be taking place. And that's how JDM is better than going through the data guard option.
Nice,
Is that
thank
clear?
you.
Yeah.
Looks like one last question. Looks like it should be quick. Is there a license needed to use ZDM for migration?
No, Oracle is giving up. It's a free tool. You can download and use it. We do not have to buy a license for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, looks like that was the end of our questions and the end of our presentation. Thank you, Anuj, for being here and for everyone who sat in and participated. The webinar, the recording of the webinar will be available on the ODTUG site for all ODTUG members tomorrow. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoy your evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining this call. Thank you. Bye.